Welcome back to Game 4 of Ohio vs. Texas. As of right now, Texas leads this series 2-1, coming in as the underdog. In Game 4, we are going to be looking at the fourth and final starting pitchers for each team. As a reminder, there are 4 starting pitchers, and for most of these teams, the fourth starting pitcher is pretty rough. So you would generally expect these Game 4s to be relatively high scoring, since these pitchers are definitely on the lower end of the rankings here. For Ohio, we have Ben Nash, who is a C- pitcher. In the regular season, Ben Nash did actually go 8 wins to 5 losses as a starter. However, his overall stats were not that pretty. On Texas's side, we have Edwin Guevara, who is a C, so he's not C- like a lot of the fourth starting pitchers are. However, he actually had a worse regular season. He went 5 wins to 7 losses, and he actually averaged a 6.85 ERA. So we'll see how far along he's able to go. It looks like in his regular season, he averaged going out in the 4th inning. So we will see how that pans out for Texas. Quick note before we jump into this episode. This is the first time I've tried editing some of the audio settings since starting the series. With this episode, I have muted the in-game crowd, and I think it's going to sound better. In the initial first 3 episodes, I was not a big fan of how the crowd noise kind of faded in and out in the recordings. So let me know if you agree. And without further ado, let's get into Game 4. And we are in game. As you can see here, Texas, with that loss last episode, a couple of their players are coming into this game with a lower rating on that mojo. So we'll see how this pans out. Britt Dudley stepping up, and we'll see if she can get anything going. She has been struggling so far in this series. 2 foul balls. And she gets caught with a strikeout early here. In the regular season, Edwin, looking at his stats here, only got 70 strikeouts. So we'll see what he's able to do here. Fowler, hard grounder to Turtles for a quick out too. Duke Perez so far is probably the MVP of this series, and that ball sneaks by right in between the third baseman and shortstop, and he gets on first. Slow grounder, but a quick out 3. I'll be very interested to see how this pans out. I think I've said this multiple times. I was not expecting games 1 and 2 to be high scoring, and last game very low scoring. So we'll see if things are panning out as I'm expecting here. And Nash has a pretty nasty curveball, even though that junk score is not that high. Full count to start things off here. And he starts out by walking the batter. Let's take a quick look here. Oh, that is hit. And Flounder is able to grab that. Andre McFarland, again, one of the best batters in the regular season. So we'll see if he can get a hit to bring things along. And he strikes out. Alexandria Tannen. Has some bonuses here. nice hit, and that will land in bounds. That is going to allow a double, and they're on third base as well. Ronin Turtles, again, in the regular season was not one of the best players, but he has had an exceptional first 3 games. And he grounds it, but Tucker's going to be able to get that third out easily. Coming up to the plate first here with Gwendolyn Flounder. Got a nice catch out there in left field earlier. Let's see how she does up to bat. Ground ball right past first base. Nice hit right up the middle past the pitcher to the center fielder, and she gets on first to start the inning. Helen Tucker with a hard grounder, but this is probably going to turn a double play, and that will turn a double play for Ohio. Ohio now up to bat again here with 2 outs. Hard hit. Ronin Turtles dove for that and did not get anywhere close. He actually has pretty decent speed and field bars at 63 and 74 respectively, but that just looked funny. Marlon Terry again has struggled in this series, and his contact bar is low. If he doesn't get anything going this game, I would not be surprised if we see them swap him out for somebody for the next game. And he actually gets walked. Again, that's one of these big keys with these lower rated pitchers. We're going to see a lot more walked batters and potentially just a lot of more randomness, I think is the best way to put it. Starts things off here with 2 balls. Pedro underhanded, gets a slow grounder, which will get... Oh, nope, never mind. That is the third out. I forgot. I was going to say that they were going to have people in scoring position, but I forgot that there was already 2 outs in the inning. Orlando Farley had an exceptional, I believe it was game 2. We'll see if he can get anything going. That ball is popped high and likely going to be an easy catch here. Dude, Perez gets that out. Cal Jimenez so far has struggled in this series, as have a lot of these batters. A lot of these batters on both teams are averaging below a 200 batting average. Ball gets away from the catcher there, but nobody's on. Madison Morse so far is one of the batters that has actually been doing well. That ball's popped up. It may fall. Nope, Dudley is able to get the out. Going into the top of the third, currently still a 0-0 game. Ohio starts at the top of their batting order here with Britt Dudley, who again, just surprisingly has not been able to get anything going. Britt Dudley is their A- player. So she's one of those players that you're expecting quite a bit from her. And we start out with a walked batter, and that is not great because Britt Dudley only has a 67 speed, but in the regular season, Britt Dudley only had 3 stolen bases, so I think Texas doesn't need to worry about that too much. And we get there with Fowler getting struck out. Duke Perez. Those bars are massive, and he gets a hit that looks like it's going to hit the wall. Nope, it's caught by Morse right at the wall. So that keeps Britt Dudley on first. That ball is nailed into the gap. We'll see. That's probably going to allow Britt Dudley to third. She actually takes it, and she's going to be going home with it, and she will get it for the first score of the game, allowing Ohio to get the first run on the board. Gwendolyn Flounder, foul ball right along that first base line. Ball is popped up. It looks like it's going to be going into the stands, though. It does go too deep. Gwendolyn Flounder strikes out and does have that mojo dropped. Ohio, going into the bottom of the third, does have a 1-run lead, which is what they want here. They are, they went down 2-0 to start this series. So if they're able to get this to a 2-2 series, that would be huge for them. Terry is able to get that first out. That ball is popped. It's along that high wall, but it does go out. Oh, and we're back at a tied game. A 1-run shot there. 410 feet for Cher Low. Aaron Sexton stepping up to the plate. Hard grounder. Dudley does get it, but it might be too slow. And it was. Aaron Sexton is on first, and he is a stealing threat that they'll have to watch out for. Not the fastest player in the league, but there he goes. He's off with it, and he is safe. He is in the scoring position there at second now. Only 1 out. Farland does get that hit. Fowler will bring it in quickly, so he stops a run there. But Texas now on first and third. Ball is popped up. It is drifting slowly over, but it does go slightly too far out. Alexandria Tannen gets struck out. Ronin Turtles, a name that we keep going back to. Again, he had a pretty good start to this series, but has struggled a little bit since. That ball gets away, and they are stealing home, and just gets caught. That was big. He was very close to getting that. Aaron Sexton, again, he has the speed that he could have potentially turned that. That ball is popped up and is caught by Farley in center field. Mac Bush, one of the batters that is struggling so far in these first 3 games. Hard ground ball, but Stafford is able to get the ball and a quick out. Arlen Terry needs to get something going here. And he gets struck out. Marlon Terry. Let's take a quick look here. In the regular season, he only batted a .223, but here we go. We're back with Ronin Turtles. That was a quick inning. Slightly too low. Strike out, and that is the 3rd strikeout for Nash. Orlando Farley up to bat with 1 out in the bottom of the 4th. Ball is hit far foul. Slow grounder, but should be an easy out there for Bush. Kel Jimenez steps up, and we'll see if he can get anything going here for Texas. Ball's popped up and should be an easy 3rd out. Ball easily caught there by second baseman Bush to end the 4th inning. Going into the top of the 5th, we are looking at a 1-1 game. Pedro underhanded. One of those other players that I would not be surprised if we see him subbed out. He just has not been able to get really anything going so far. Sitting here with 2 strikes. And strikes out. We're back with Britt Dudley. That ball just goes over the second baseman, and then we'll get Britt Dudley on first. Well, it will be interesting to see how far Edwin here goes as their starting pitcher. Again, in the regular season, he only averaged to the 4th inning. He has the stamina, it's just that he does not have the best stats. He's up against Geronimo Fowler. Ball is hard hit right past the pitcher's feet there. And Ohio, now with a player on first and second with Duke Perez up to bat. Edwin needs to be very careful with where he throws these pitches. Ball is hit. It's a hard hit though, so we're looking now at bases loaded. And with that, Riley Gross is going to be stepping up to the plate. We'll see what happens. Riley Gross is their designated hitter here. That ball is hit right along the line and does drift foul. That ball is hit right against the wall. Grand slam! Grand slam by Riley Gross. Oh, that ball just got out of the park. And that is absolutely huge for Ohio. Gwendolyn Flounder now stepping up with Ohio at a 5-1 lead. Hard grounder, and Stafford will turn the second out here. Very high. Very high and inside again. Full count with 2 outs. That ball is hit. It looks like it's going to fall in the gap, and it does. Helen Tucker here was able to get a double. Puts her in scoring position with Mac Bush stepping up to the plate. That ball is popped, and that's looking like that might be out as well. Another home run by Mac Bush this time, extending Ohio's lead here. And this is looking so far like Ohio's game, up 7-1. There goes Edwin bringing in Bingo Drake, who so far in this series has done exceptionally well, but he's coming in down 6 runs here. Marlon Terry, that is also hit just off the top of the wall. If that was not a high wall on that side, that would have been gone. Pedro underhanded. It would be very big if he can get something going here, because when you have a game like this, you're going to see these mojos start increasing, which is very dangerous. Pedro Underhand does strike out to end the inning, but that was a huge inning for Ohio, and that's the exact kind of inning that might change some of those mojos enough to bring them through the rest of this series. We'll have to see. Let's see if Texas can get anything going. Madison Morse strikes out to start the inning. Stafford still does not have a single hit in this series. That ball is popped up, and that should be an easy out too. And it is. Share low. Back up. And she gets walked. I think that's the second time that she's been walked today. Aaron Sexton is going to be stepping up here. And he gets a slow grounder, which will end the inning. Ohio, going into the top of the sixth here, has a 6-run lead. And they do have Britt Dudley to the top of their batting order to start this inning. Oh, and she got hit by the pitch. That's the first hit batter I think we've seen in this series. He's now rattled too, which does not help. Looks like hitting the batter really impacts your accuracy. But technically impacted his mojo, which dropped his accuracy significantly. Geronimo Fowler gets walked. Not what Texas wants to have happening here. Bingo Drake is hoping for a ground ball here, and he almost hits the batter again. Ball gets away from the catcher, puts them on third and second. Full count. And he walks the batter to allow bases loaded. This is not good at all for Texas. Now, Texas is already down 6 runs and might want to try to hold some of their players for the next game at this point, but absolutely disastrous inning so far. And Ohio puts up another point. And there they go. They're going to bring out Bingo Drake and bring in Harshmeyer. I don't think we've seen it all yet this series. Harshmeyer is a C- relief pitcher. So again, these game 4s are going to be really rough in terms of pitchers available. And that's going to hit the gap, and Ohio's probably going to score at least 2 more off of this. They're actually bringing home a 3rd run, and they get it. Oh, man. Ohio. At this point, Texas just needs to hope to get out of this game as quickly as possible. I've said it a few times already, but the mojos are going to be so high for Ohio coming off of a win like this that could easily bring them to that 4 games that they need. Here we have the specialist trait for Harshmeyer. Does not seem to matter at all with a grounder, and we're still without a single out in this inning. That ball is popped up, which should allow a out here, and they get that infield fly. Pedro underhand it again, and you can see his mojo is absolutely demolished right now, which would be big for Texas to be able to hold him with that, but that type of hit is going to probably bring up his mojo rating. which again is exactly what Texas needs to minimize at this point in this game. After a rough start to this series, Ohio in this game is proving why they are coming in as the number 1 seed. Hard grounder. Texas is hoping for the double play here, and they do get it to get out of the inning, but not before allowing another 6 runs. Texas down 13-1. Ben Nash is still in here pitching a very good game considering how he did in the regular season. He gets another strikeout. You can see there that's also starting to drop the mojo of these Texas players. Actually, I might be lying a little bit about Ben Nash's stats there. Ben Nash actually averaged almost 6 innings a game in the regular season. So he's still above average here and is only still at 71 pitches. But at this point, even if his pitching stats, continue dropping with that stamina bar, I think they might just keep him in. That they have the runs here that Texas is probably not going to be able to make a run back here. And allowing all of their relief pitchers for the rest of the series would be huge for Ohio. Ohio quickly ends that inning. So again, here, if I'm Texas, I'm just thinking, get out of these innings with as little runs and as many strikeouts as possible. Almost hits Fowler there. Starts this inning off with 3 balls. That looks like it might have been inside. And he starts off with a batter walked. At this point, I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure what Texas does to get out of this situation. You can tell Meyer here is scared about pitching to Duke Perez. Duke Perez does get caught looking there. And he does actually get striked out. Unexpected result there. You never know what's going to happen. Riley Gross has had an absolutely great series. And that is looking like that might be out as well. Oh, another home run. Riley Gross. And that one was popped far out. That is her second home run, 9th RBI of this tournament. And here we go. Texas is bringing in another relief pitcher to try to end this. But this is going to be hard for them going into next game. The only thing that they have that is good for them is they will have their best starting pitcher, but Ohio will as well, and that's going to be Laurel O'Connor, who did not have a great game 1, but is the best rated player on their team. Brian Trevino has actually had a very good series. It's disappointing for Texas that he has to come in to try to end this game. He does get a strikeout there. Look at that. Brian Trevino is only 10 pitches in, and his stamina bar is already at below 70%. He does get another strikeout. That ends the inning. So Ohio is now up 15-1. But for Texas, they're able to get some hits and some scores in here. Again, I think that this game is out of reach for Texas at this point. But if they're able to at least get some hits and something going, it will help with their mojo and such moving into Game 5. Lando Farley, 2 fouls back to back and a full count. And he does get striked out. Cal Jimenez stepping up to the plate. If Ben Nash wants to try to get this full game here, he needs to be careful in terms of how many fouls he's throwing. Or balls, I mean. And that ball was caught right along the warning track. Long run for the fielders there. And Nash gets another strikeout to end the inning. Going into the top of the 8th. Again, Brian Trevino, he'll need to get these innings out quickly based on his stamina. And the fact that Texas does not have many alternatives left. I'm not sure that they're actually going to have any relief pitchers that aren't with stamina at this point. And he does get that out. Brian Trevino is playing absolutely sensationally as a relief pitcher in this series. I think he's only a C-rated pitcher. Stafford, quick out too. Britt Dudley, I think, has gotten on base every single time this game, but that one's a quick grounder to Roden Turtles for an out 3. It's very interesting. Texas really has not had anything going for them the past 2 games now. And it was looking like a potential Cinderella runaway as this series started. With 2 great games for Texas, is looking more and more like Ohio is showing why they came in as the 1 seed. We'll see here. Ohio does switch out pitchers here to Clowners, who had a horrible game when she came in the last time. But at this point, I don't see mattering too much for them there. Quick second out. If Texas wants to get back into this series, Aaron Sexton is going to need to start putting up some big hits and plays for them. That is a high foul ball and does end the inning. Top of the 9th. Again, Ohio here is just going to look to add to their lead, increase their player mojos even more. Texas, Brian Trevino here just needs to get this inning with as quickly as possible. Quick out 1 of the high fly ball. Grounder low does get it, and she's able to get the second out. Riley Gross, again, one of the potentially now looking like the MVP of this series so far, has really been able to help with Ohio's comeback in this series to even this out at 2-2. Bottom of the 9th. Watch, after everything that I've said, Texas is going to score 14 runs here. We'll see what happens. McFarland again, one of the best batters in the regular season, led the league in hits and batting average. And not that he's had a horrible series so far, but not as good as you might expect. And that was actually a very nicely hit ball. Tucker was not able to corral that. So we're going to start out the inning with somebody getting on first. Xandria Tannen is going to try to keep things moving here for Texas. Slow grounder, and that's the second fielding error. However, Tannen does not have the speed to get there. Tannen does have a 74 speed, so it's not that she's a slow runner. Ronin Turtles, high fly ball. That's going to get out too. One more out, and Ohio is going to tie this series at 2-2. Orlando Farley takes the plate. Two strikes. And strike three to end that. And Ohio is going to be tying this series at 2-2. After falling behind 2-0, they come back in games 3 and 4 here and are looking to be on a good path moving into game 5. Let's take a look here at the box score and player stats. Ohio had 18 hits for 15 runs. Texas was only able to get 1 run off of 5 hits. Looking for the MVP of this game, I think Riley Gross is the clear option here. Batted a .500 with 2 home runs and 8 RBIs. The only player that he might determine played better is the starting pitcher in Nash here. But I think Riley Gross is the clear MVP, with Nash being number 2 on that list. And actually, they give it to Riley Gross with Gwendolyn Flounder coming in as second, and then Mac Bush able to lock in with the third MVP slot. Well, that was a crazy 4th game. Ohio, I think, really proved there why they came into this series as the number 1 seed. And we are going to need to see if Texas is able to hold on and come back and continue their Cinderella story. Thank you so much for joining me for Game 4. And I'll be seeing you guys on the next one. Game 5. Later.